Hello everyone, this is George Taylor from ImagiNERDing, and this time we're looking at the Cedar Point roller coasters. Cedar Point, located near Sandusky, Ohio, is always noted as a roller coaster mecca. With 16 coasters, it's hard to argue with that. I've visited 3 times and I've enjoyed each visit for different reasons. Overall, Cedar Point has some really good coasters, but none of them are in my top 10. I do love the history of Cedar Point and the charm that's everywhere. It's definitely worth your visit and a great way to up your coaster credit score. Plus, where else in the world can you stand and see at least 4 coasters at any given time? Blue Streak opened in 1964 and is the oldest coaster at Cedar Point. It was also the first coaster built after the Cyclone was removed in 1951. It was designed by John Allen and built by the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. It has a height of 78 feet, goes 40 miles per hour, and lasts a minute and 45 seconds. It's a fun wooden coaster that is starting to show its age. Cedar Creek Mine Ride opened in 1969 and was built by Arrow. You know, they also built the Matterhorn at Disneyland. It reaches a height of 48 feet and 42 miles per hour. It's a 2-minute and 42-second ride and is actually one of the better Arrow mine coasters that I've ever ridden. It's also got a very interesting and well-themed queue. Corkscrew is another Arrow looper and was built in 1976. It was the first coaster to offer 3 inversions. It has a lift hill that reaches 85 feet and goes 48 miles per hour. As with most Arrow coasters, it's extremely painful. I had a lot of problems sitting upright while the restraints kept me hunched over. The one saving grace is that the coaster is very photogenic, especially from the midway. Gemini is an Arrow racing coaster and was built in 1978. It looks more like a traditional wooden coaster, but it has steel tracks. It reaches a height of 125.3 feet. It goes 60 miles per hour and offers a 2-minute and 20-second ride. I have to admit that the coaster was a lot of fun and different from most other Arrow coasters. It seemed to offer the transition from mine train to the full-fledged steel coasters. The racing format was a lot of fun and offered different types of chase sequences. Also, the station looks like you stepped back into 1982 Epcot Center. Wilderness Run opened in 1979 and was originally called Gemini Jr. as it was directly across the midway from Gemini. It was built by Intamin and it's a steel children's coaster. It reaches 19 feet high, goes 6 miles per hour, and lasts 50 seconds. Iron Dragon is a steel suspended coaster built in 1987 by Arrow. Iron Dragon goes 76 feet high, hits 40 miles per hour, and is 2 minutes long. I was fortunate enough to actually have ridden the original Bat at Kings Island back in 1983, but I found Iron Dragon to be very painful and not very exciting. Magnum XL-200 debuted in 1989 and was built by Arrow. When it was built, it was known as the tallest, fastest, and steepest closed-circuit coaster. It is also the coaster that coined the term hypercoaster because it hit 205 feet. It does reach a speed of 72 miles per hour and lasts 2 minutes. Although after riding modern hyper and giga coasters, I felt like Magnum was tame, but it was a typical Arrow coaster and was very uncomfortable, even in the front seat. Raptor debuted in 1994, and it's a steel inverted coaster built by Bolliger and Mabillard. It was the tallest, fastest, and longest inverted coaster since the other previous model was Batman the Ride. Raptor goes 137 feet high, hits 57 miles per hour, and lasts 2 minutes and 16 seconds. It's a pretty powerful inverted, and you can sort of trace it to Alpengeist. Rougarou opened in 1996 as Mantis, a stand-up roller coaster built by Bolliger and Mabillard. At the time, it was the world's tallest, fastest, and longest stand-up coaster. In 2015, it opened as Rougarou as it was converted into a floorless coaster. It does go 145 feet high, hits 60 miles per hour, and lasts 2 minutes 40 seconds while offering 4 inversions. I never rode it as Mantis, but I've also never ridden a stand-up coaster that I've really enjoyed. Rougarou still felt a little rough to me, despite being built by Bolliger and Mabillard. Woodstock Express opened in 1999 and is a steel junior coaster by Vekoma. It's a direct clone of Flight of the Hippogriff at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, but with different seatbelts. It has a height of 43 feet, goes 28.5 miles per hour, and lasts 1 minute and 6 seconds. Millennium Force opened in 2000 and is a steel coaster built by Intamin. When it debuted, it was the tallest and fastest in the world. It was also the first to use a cable lift system, which is surprisingly fast at getting you to the top of the hill. It reaches 310 feet, hits 93 miles per hour, and lasts 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It was the world's first Giga coaster and held the title of Best Coaster in the World for more than 10 years, which I'm still scratching my head about. It is very smooth for an Intamin and offers a fun ride, especially at night, but don't sit in the front. There are a lot of bugs at Cedar Point. Wicked Twister launched in 2002 and was built by Intamin. It's an inverted impulse coaster, which means it's powered by linear induction motors, like Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios. It reaches a height of 215 feet, goes 72 miles per hour, and lasts about 40 seconds. Top Thrill Dragster opened in 2003 and was built by Intamin. It's considered a steel accelerator coaster. It goes 420 feet high. It hits 120 miles per hour in less than 2 seconds, and the entire ride lasts 30 seconds. It is an amazing experience because of the speed and the height. And when you're at the very top, Millennium Force looks very small. The hardest part is the anticipation of waiting in the queue, but after experiencing it, I loved it. It's also amazing that you can see it and hear it from all over the park. Maverick debuted in 2007 and was built by Intamin. It's a steel-launched roller coaster with a heavily themed Western influence. I was surprised at how well the queue and the coaster theming actually worked. The coaster goes 105 feet high, hits 70 miles per hour, and lasts 2 minutes and 30 seconds. There's also a really cool surprise that I'm not going to tell you about. It was one of the most surprising and enjoyable coasters in the park. There's a lot of great airtime and a lot of various satisfying turns and banks. Gatekeeper flew into the park in 2013 and was built by Bolliger and Mabillard. It's a steel wing coaster that offers a surprisingly smooth and elegant ride. It's a signature attraction, and you walk under it to enter the park. It goes 170 feet high, hits 67 miles per hour, and lasts 2 minutes and 40 seconds. It's not as intense as Thunderbird at Holiday World or as amazing as Wild Eagle at Dollywood. Still, it's a great wing coaster that's much more elegant and refined than its predecessors. Valravn debuted in 2016 and was built by Bolliger and Mabillard. It's the third dive coaster built in the United States and the 100th coaster for Bolliger and Mabillard. It is currently the tallest, fastest, and longest dive coaster in the world. It's a great experience, especially at night, but it's not my favorite dive coaster. That title still goes to Griffin at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And I like SheiKra at Busch Gardens, Tampa a little bit more as well. Still, it looks absolutely amazing on the Midway. It goes 223 feet high, hits 75 miles per hour, and lasts 1 minute and 58 seconds. Overall, Cedar Point is a great place for theme park and roller coaster fans. There is something for everyone, including a lot of classic flat rides, and there is so much history throughout the park. So I think there's something there for everyone, even if you're not a fan of roller coasters. I'm George Taylor from ImagiNERDing, and I'd like to thank you so much for checking out this video about the history of Cedar Point roller coasters. Leave me a comment and tell me what's your favorite roller coaster, or what's your one not miss roller coaster every time you visit Cedar Point. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.